All right.
So,
You go.
what do you think about Tariq in competitive?
Tarek in competitive. I mean,
Yeah.
here's my number one thing. For me, I don't think like I mean Arabian Div 2 is not like the highest level, right? I think you can
Yeah.
agree. I coached in like NSC 1, which is also not the highest level. It's like decent levels, right? There are some challenger players, etc. Right? It's not like there are bad players, but
Mhm.
the most important thing for me is not what champions you play, but just that you're comfortable on the champions, right? Um, if your main champion and your main comfort is Tarek, I think you can make him work. Probably agreed
Yeah. In
because
some
you
matchups.
go. Yeah, exactly. In some matchups, it's obviously a bit situational in that sense. You're not just gonna blind pick him and then run with it, right? Because then you're probably gonna run it down. But it's like my point is that like if you have a good Tarek spot or whatever, you probably have played the Tarek matchups way more than other people have, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be 10 times more comfortable than enemy support and then enemy ADC for that matter playing this champion, right? Uh, so and that weighs in a lot, right? And
True.
right now, if we look at the for me at least the competitive champion pool, and I think I saw a screenshot of it today on Twitter as well, where it's like for me the main like good champions in the game are CC champions, right? CC supports, right? So Rell is really
Of
good,
course.
Nautilus is really good, and Leona are like is really good as well. And for me, Tarek is good into all of these champions. I'm not sure if you agree.
Yeah. Yeah. He's good against melee champs.
Right, exactly, because then you're allowed to just fist fight a lot, right? And it's like you work very well when you're just allowed to spam Q as well. So
Yeah.
in theory, he
Tariq,
should be quite good into the meta. I feel like.
yeah. Tariq is a better version of Brom, I think.
Yeah, I could see it.
I will send you my shampoo 1 second.
Yeah, sounds good. All right,
Uh,
you go.
I have a question. Should I play like Rumble support in competitive?
Well, I mean, it's a great question, right? Yeah. Is Rumble support good? If that's what you're asking, I think yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to play it? No. Like this is what I'm saying once again. Like the main thing I think is just comfort, right? Like should
Yeah.
you try it? Probably yeah. Like and then if you like it, yeah, keep playing it. But
It's
it's
good
also
like for flex pick,
yes, and it's
proc
something
support.
to discuss with your coach as well. I think in that sense. I'm not sure if you have a coach, but
Yeah.
maybe if you don't have one like with your team, right? In that sense, right? And then try it. If you feel like okay, this can work, then all right, go for it. If you feel like no, it's not gonna work, then you know, oftentimes it's like not worth wasting your time on something you don't believe in, right? You know what I mean? And I can't answer that question for you, right?
True.
All
So
right.
I just climbed the Grandmaster like 1 week ago. This is my first time. Uh,
Yep.
I want to reach challenger
Mm-hmm.
and to get better in competitive.
Yep.
Uh, I
Yep.
want like next split to play in better team, maybe better league.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah. Sounds good. And what are some like general things that you would like to for me to have like a look at in this session? Like, what are some general things that you think you struggle with that you think I could help you with?
Hmm. Maybe sometimes the matchups
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and maybe sometimes the wave management, roaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then, do you have like a VOD that you want me to have a look at, or are you planning on playing solo queue for the session?
Now I have bad mouse. I can't play solo queue, but we
That's completely fine.
can check one of my games maybe.
Yeah. Do you have a point of view one, or do you want to from match history?
The Alistar game maybe.
This one.
Let's check.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And just as an FYI, if I ever speak a bit too fast, just tell me to slow down because I have the tendency to do so sometimes,
Okay.
and that's completely fine
So
if you think I
so
speak too
you
fast.
yeah, so you coach in NLC
Not currently, but I did last split.
Division 2 or 1?
Division 1 last split, and I coached a Division 2 before that as well.
Nice.
Alright, so if we look at this game, we have Alistar Twitch, we playing against Siversona. What is the general like thought process going into the game? What is your plan, and what are you trying to look to play for?
I try to win my lane and I try to roam mid.
Right.
I try to play Drake. Yeah.
Okay.
That's,
So the goals are. Yeah, go.
I pick Alistar because Sivir can't counter my combo.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the general thing, like, okay, so you're saying, okay, we want to win the lane, we want to be able to look for runs to mid lane, and we want to be able to impact the map so we can get some Drakes, right? These are the three things. Yeah. Okay, so the first question then is, how do we win this lane?
Should I need to combo like level 2, level 3 on Sivir?
Right. Yeah, I mean, in general, the most important thing, right, is that, okay, we're not just gonna win playing slow against them, right? They're playing Sona, they're playing Sivir, right? So we have to take some sort of all-in, right? That's the main thing, right? And then we don't have to look on Sivir, I don't think. Like, if we can get on top of the Sona as well, and you think it's a good angle, like, for all I care, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Both champions can be targets in this lane. But in general, it's about taking good short trades and then taking an all-in trade, right, once we feel like we're strong enough. Level 1 is gonna be a bit awkward, of course. There's not much more else to say. We're playing Alistar level 1.
My champion is useless level 1.
Yeah, exactly. Your champion is like not it. Potentially, if we really want to, we could maybe look some cheesy Q flash. You know what I mean? Like, because in general, if we can trade, I assume I don't know. Do you have X flash this game or no?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
If we can trade Hex Flash like early on, like level 1, like let's say they're standing on top of each other like this and we're positioning in bush, like it's not impossible for us to look for something. You know what I mean?
True. I have a question.
Yeah,
I build the Warmog first item. Is that correct?
it can be correct. To be honest, I'm like not 100% certain if it's like better than like, for example, Night's Vow or for example Locket, right? Warmogs in general is a pretty good item. We can do what I did for like the last one, right? Where we look at like in general item win rates, right? Because this is for me the best way to look at like, okay, what is strong at the moment and what is not strong, right? And if we look at here, Warmogs has a pretty high win rate compared to especially Night's Vow and Locket, right? So is it like the best? I cannot 100% say, right? Because it's like I haven't played enough like support to say like, okay, this is for sure better than the other, right? But if we just look at win rates and what probably pros are doing as well, we can probably tell, okay, this is probably the best thing to go. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is just in general what I would do, right? And then sometimes it doesn't make sense. Warmogs right now is a pretty strong item right now. So yeah, I think it's in general pretty fine. So either way, we decide to not do too much level 1. I don't hate it, right? If we feel like, for example, we could flash in, we can do so. Sometimes if they like flash well, then we might just be turned upon. And that's not great either, right? So I understand if we don't want to do that. And then in general, the only goal I would have is that early on, we want to trade some sort of flash with like either Sona or Sivir. Because if we have Hex Flash with our Rek'Sai, they are not dodging these ganks. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, so that's like number 1 goal in this kind of lane for me, right? If we can trade flashes, or not even trade flashes, just get their flash for that matter, if we can do that as well, right? We can easily like win the lane from that, right? And here, I mean, Sivir just ends up trolling. She's probably gonna have to end up flashing, I would assume. Or maybe not even, maybe they just win.
Yeah, we lost.
I mean, I think you play it fine, I will say this. I think your Twitch is a bit questionable in that sense. I think you can agree. Like, I don't even know what else to say, because I think it's like the engage you do is good. I think the Twitch is overextends it, like in that sense. And there's not much you can do about that. Now, the good thing, right, that we have... Yeah, and that's fine. Like, that's completely alright. Yeah. Shit happens sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, but the main thing that we have to look for, right, is that even though this didn't go too well or to plan, is what did they use, right? This is the number 1 thing after every fight. We ask ourselves,
I need to type it, yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to type it if you like, if you don't have chat on, for example. Like, I don't care, but just general pinging it and remembering. Okay, now
I have it in Prof strategy. I have like Prof strategy. I can time it.
Yeah, that's good. And it's like, in general, just being aware of, okay, now they don't have this, right? And one big thing we spoke about, right, was that, okay, we want to get their like flashes early on, right? So then it's hard for them to dodge ganks, right? And it's easier for us to take all-ins, right? Because they have no way of actually dodging your all-in if you get straight flashes, right? And then, of course, I mean, there's not much you can do here. I think it's fine how you play it. You end up getting 1 for 1.
1 for 1, yeah.
So it's alright, and Twitch ends up killing another, or 2 even. This guy's crazy, I guess. And then the question for me is just, when we die here, what are we thinking going out on the map? Like, what is the plan?
Mid. I should go mid, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Why?
Can you check the wave, please? Because my carry is dead, so I have nothing to do in bot.
Right. Like
Maybe
the one.
ward mid. Yeah.
The one thing I would say is that you don't have to like go here like into mid lane like that, and you don't have to
In
go
the
into
middle,
bot lane.
yeah.
Yeah, you go into middle and you can choose straight. If you feel like okay, I have nothing to do bot lane, that's fine. Just go place a ward or something. Or maybe you feel like similar thing. You don't have anything to do mid lane right now. You don't have any wards, right? So for all I care, you can just stand and soak XP in bot lane as well if that's the best you can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't care what you do, right? It's just about making a conscious like decision, right? Here, I think it's like fine if we like think okay, maybe they could hard shove this as well while Twitch is dead. If I'm not there, then it's fine to hold it, right? Ari got the wave in, so like if we decide to like let's say hover mid lane when Ari gets the wave in, maybe we can decide to like take a stroll, place a ward for her or something like that, and then we can just go bot lane, right?
Yeah.
Just making an active decision, that's the most important, right? Not outpiloting anything. Now, we generally want to take...
I didn't
like,
want to fight this because
no,
like there is big wave and Twitch want to fight.
Yeah, and that's fine. I can see it to an extent you don't really want to as well. I think it can be fine to take it in the wave if you think you can hold it after, right? This is the number one thing, right? Because your Twitch is like not weak now, he just got a double kill, right? So I think in general you should be stronger, right? Agreed?
Yeah.
The number one thing is like, if you take a trade right now, and they still get the wave in after, then they just reset, and then you just lost HP for zero reason, right? So you kind of have to find a balance of like, first finning the wave, and then taking a trade in front of your tower, right? Because another thing is that, let's say you're standing over here instead, and then you try to trade with them. That's not gonna be too successful, right? Because your champion doesn't have much. Right, that's not how you play your champion, right? Yeah. So it's like, what you want to do is you want to take a trade here, but you want to fin the wave first, right? And if your Twitch really wants to do something like this, like I understand that you might not want to, then it's just pinging him off, preferably. And if he still goes for it, then fucking unlucky. I don't know what else to say, man. Like, you know, it's like, because you can't like mind control what he's doing in a sense, right? But if you're not going, he's probably not going to go. If you think it's a good play, then let's go for the play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, in general, now we ended up not finning the wave, we ended up taking a bit of damage. Obviously, now they decided not to reset, right? But as I said, for example, had they decided to reset here with maybe only just the Zona, right? Then we're not... This HP trade we kind of got on her is completely irrelevant. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it works, so it works.
He one-shot her.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, we take it. I mean, you're a bit slowed, right? So it's hard to, like, follow up on the play, but I mean, we're not following on the play either way, so we take this, right? So now with Hard Shop, I assume you either reset or you...
Yeah, they cancelled our record.
Yeah. I mean, they reset...
Yeah. That's why we cancelled our record.
Yeah, I don't know. Because it's like right here, right? I don't like hate us initially trying to take a reset. I think it's fine if you want to stay on the map, because I assume you don't have like... I mean, you have a bit of gold, right? But like, if you really want to stay on the map, you can. I think the Twitch kind of needs to get reset here. That's obviously not in your control. What did you say?
Yeah, I should stay, I think. Because I don't.
But it's like when this guy stays, right? He's just stuck in lane now, and that's a bit of an issue. I think you can agree. And so it's hard to play. I mean, they just kind of let you get the crash either way, because Zona goes and does basically nothing. So we take that, of course. And now the question is just, again, okay, what do we want to do, right? Like, here, it looks like we just click on bot lane, right? I'm not sure if you're looking, for example, mid lane, or if you're looking at whatever else is going on the map. If you
I wanted to force play in bot lane. Yeah. I didn't want to let my AD carry alone, and since he have a lead, so I just want bot.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, and we almost get kill.
Yeah.
But I usually roam to mid. I usually like walk to mid, but
yes,
I don't know when is the right time to roam to top, because top is far away from bot.
Right. So generally in solo queue, it's not going to be easy to roam into top lane, right? The common time when you would roam into top lane is, for example, when, let's say, you are resetting on bot lane right now, or whatever, let's just say you are, and you think something is going on in its top lane, but your jungler cannot be there for some reason. Maybe he needs to clear his bot side camps, right? So you would go top lane to deal with whatever is going on top lane, and then your jungler, once he's finished clearing the camps, would just go bot lane, right, and cover what's going on there, right?
Yeah.
You're basically covering the jungler's job just to make his life more efficient, right? And that is difficult to do in solo queue, as I said, right? Because most likely what would end up happening is that he would take his camps and then he would like reset or something, and your Twitch would like go completely boom. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But in comp especially, this is something you can do, right? It's just that you're taking jobs covering in a sense, and it's similar to like if you have push in mid lane, like let's say, you can do the same thing, right? That can be completely fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just hovers into bot lane, like if you need to. And that's generally when you would hover into top, and then like you say, if you roam often into mid lane, that's completely fine. Like the main thing for me is just that you make an active decision, right? That you don't just autopilot into going mid lane, and you don't autopilot into going bot lane, right? You just actually
I
look
need
at
to
the map.
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you think about it and you decide, okay, for example, like the play we just looked at, you went into bot lane, and if you think that's the best play to do, that's completely fine with me, right? Often there are multiple plays to do in League of Legends at once. Like you can do 2, 3, 4 plays, like, but you can't do them all at once. You can only choose between one of them. I don't really care which one of those 4 you choose, for example. I just care that you choose one of them, right? And you make an active decision on why that one is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this game is, I mean, it's a bit of a fiesta, right? I won't say that it's not.
Coach, can we change the game? I think there is
Sure.
there is more important game.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Which game are you thinking about?
So this game is like 2 days ago. I played Rell and I won.
You played Rell and you won?
Yeah, 1-6 score it was.
Let's see. Is it on your match history?
I think not.
I think not. Can you download the replay then, if you have it downloaded? Or
I see it only in OPGG.
okay, wait, let's see.
Can we watch from OPGG or no?
Potentially, I'll see. Is this one or no?
Wait. This one, it was like my first game playing against Fnatic players, and I was like very scared.
Yeah, no, I get that. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm playing against Noah and that support, I think, from Vitality B. This game, it was like my worst game in this month, maybe.
Yeah, well, it does not seem like you can then download it, so that's a bit unlucky.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
What do you think about the matchup? Do you think it's unplayable, right?
Yeah, it looks quite hard.
I blind pick Rell. Do you think it's bad as blind pick?
No, I mean, it can be fine. I mean, the question is just, okay, like, because it looks like here that you got counted in both roles, right?
Yeah.
So the main thing for me, like looking at this kind of game, right, is that if, let's say, you're blind Raven, usually you would look to get a good, like, support matchup, right? And if you can do that, then it can be completely fine, right? If you blind Rell and you, like, you blind Draven as well, then I think it can be a bit hard, because Draven is kind of reliant on winning lane, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because Rell, you don't need to win lane on, right? Like, even if you have a rough matchup, like, as Rell, like, let's say you pick Rell and they go, like, Ashe, Renata, maybe you could salvage it by, like, going Jhin or something, you know what I mean? And it can be fine.
Yeah.
But if you cannot do this, then, yeah, it's probably not that great to go Rell, but it's also, like, you don't have that many other champions to go, in a sense, blind, either. Like, you could go Nautilus or something like this, of course. It's like, those are the common ones, right? They will still pick Renata, and it will still be a bit rough in that sense, you know what I mean? You have some ways to play, right? You have some all-in timers, right? If they misstep, but that's basically it, right? Otherwise, you could blind Renata yourself if you think like you really need to win lane, for example. Because
Renata is a good blind pick.
I mean, she's not a great blind pick in a sense, but she's fine in the sense that she often wins most lanes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you feel like you have a game where you really need to win lane, then it can be fine to blind pick Renata, for example. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Karma can also be fine that you played.
I play Karma, yeah.
Right, because similar thing, Karma does not have that many losing lanes, you know what I mean? It's like they could go an all-in champion, but if you have Draven and you're playing Karma and they go an all-in champion, you can probably outplay it, you know what I mean?
You can play at different play styles with Karma.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, in general, you don't have to like play it for poke.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you think is, I don't know, the best counter pick for Pyke? Every time I play against Pyke, I don't know what to pick.
Yeah, I mean, Pyke is in general a bit difficult to like pick against, right? especially like in solo queue. Like for me, I think Rakan is quite good. I'm not sure out of the champions you play. I can bring up your.
I play Rakan, yeah, I play.
Yeah, like out of the champions you play, it's probably the best from what I can think. Like Braum is like not terrible, I think, and Taric is like not terrible, but they're not great either, which I'm sure you know.
Yeah. I don't like Taric against Pike because it's mobile champ.
Yeah, exactly. And I can see that, right? And it's like that's a struggle for most champions, I think. The only thing with Rakan is that he can easily tank the hook, right? That's why that, for example, is a fine lane. Often, like, just playing any tank support is like alright. It just depends on how much Pike can snowball, right? Because often he will just get outscaled. So if you play a Pike, like tank support and you lose lane, that can be fine still, right? It's just how much can he get on the map, right?
Okay. Coach, what do you think, like, the champs should I add to my champion pool?
Well, it depends on like what you're like.
For competitive.
Yeah, like for competitive. I mean, Nautilus is of course a great one, but that's like not super hard to play. I think you know that already.
Yeah.
In general, it's like you have Rell, you have Leona, you have like Karma. It just depends on what your team is like trying to do, right? In a sense, like because for me, you have like a decent mix. There's no champion in general that sticks out in mind. I can just look like what champions there are. I mean, Skarner, of course, but yeah, that champion is probably hopefully getting gutted at some point.
Yeah. What do you think about Thresh? Should I learn it? Should I practice it or no?
I mean, Thresh is like fine, but I'm not sure if he's gonna be good or not. He's kind of been out of the meta for a while, right? So it's like hard to say. I don't like hate him. I think he's like good into Leona. He's good into Rell. If it's something you really want to play, once again, you can try it. Like champions that are otherwise like quite good right now. It's like obviously Rumble, like you said. I don't like it's Nico. I think is quite good. And then it's like
I played set support.
yeah, I mean it can work for sure. I don't think it's like super terrible, especially like into like the meta right now.
It's good against Rell.
Yeah. And otherwise it's like I mean something to consider is like in competitive. Senna is quite strong right now, so I'm not saying you need to play it, but it's like either you play it or your ADC play it, like you know, and then it's like pairings with that.
So we can like play Senna Tahm, something like that.
Yeah, I mean right now Senna Ornn is like very popular, for example, right? And you don't need to play like super like advanced like lanes in that sense either. Like you can just play Senna Nautilus, something like this as well, and just have Nautilus form. That's fine as well. It's just in general like it's a strong champion right now, right? And if your ADC is comfortable playing that, that's fine. You know, like he can just play that instead. The only thing with like ADC sometimes playing it is that they need to roam a lot and they need to like place vision a lot, which a lot of the time they don't know how to do as well as a support, right? But it's like a trade-off, right? It's just something to keep in mind. And maybe if he plays it, then you want to learn some pairings. If he doesn't want to play it, then maybe you can play it and he can play some pairings, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
But in general, like your champion pool is not like super lacking or anything in that sense, right? Your champion pool is fine. Like, do you want to keep looking at the game?
Yeah, the last real game, I think.
The last real game you want to look at? All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
This game was very unlucky.
Yeah,
By the way, in the middle of the game, like my mouse went broken.
Yeah, that's a bit unlucky.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. So once again, what do we think about like what do we want to do for this game?
This game.
And what is the plan?
I want to, like always, like I want to win bot lane. And I want to roam to mid, roam.
Right. So your plan is kind of the same in a sense, right? You wanna. Yeah. So the question is just once again, how do we actually win bot lane, right?
Like I engage level 2, something like that. But you need to see this.
Yeah, this is
disgusting. And I lost flash, but he lost the flash too. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I never expected that because that happened to me when I play against Sion, not against Urgot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say, bro. You got cheesed unlucky, bro. Like, it's like, yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Honestly, like I just think this is unlucky, you know. Like the top laner kind of sacrifices his lane to an extent to make this play, then it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
All right, but like you said. The Corki trades flash. It's a bit unlucky that
my AD carry 1 HP.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a bit unlucky that your AD carry is 1 HP, but at least you have Talon coming for a play. So I assume he gets 1 kill here. and probably not the other, but that's fine. And now the number one thing, right, is just we just need to get this in, right, which you're working hard to do. That's fine. Reset here. Now, one trick in general, I'm not sure if it's something you do or not usually, but one thing you can do is that if your AD carry wants to reset in position like this, you could stay on the map, like stay like over here, or maybe like start rotating into mid, because if sometimes enemy bot lane here will look to hard shove, right, and then just reset. Now, this situation maybe not, because they just like died on Corki, right, but normally, like let's say you take a cheater, this is a very common play, right, because if they try to hard shove and then you show up, then they can't really crash it, and then you can just freeze on them. See what I mean?
Yeah, understandable.
And it's not something you have to do here, right? As I said, the Corki probably doesn't want to reset, right? Because he just spent his gold, so it's completely alright. But I'm not really sure what's going on here. I mean, we take it. Now, it's like one thing similar again. Here, I would consider, okay, where do we want to be on the map? Maybe you're thinking, I'm level 2, I just want some XP, and then I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're thinking, my ADC is a griefer because he just was 1 HP when I came back the last time. So.
Yeah, I think the both of them are like, I want to save my AD carry and I want to get some XP for level 3.
Right. It's like I said before, right? Just make sure that you know where you want to be on the map, right? And here it's fine staying, right? This is
what do you think about this wave I faced?
I think it's fine. It's good play.
Yeah.
And I mean, they just kind of get punished on this, right? Because they try to crash it and they can't. And I assume the Corki just dies again. This Corki is quite sad.
But you have a lot of damage, I don't understand it.
Yeah,
you one-shot everyone.
Yeah, I mean, Corki champion is not balanced at the moment. Like, that's one thing. Like, if you don't play that in your team, that's something I would play. Like, not even like bot lane, you don't have to play it. Just mid lane is really broken as well, right? Alright, and now we open up mid lane. I think it's fine. I mean, honestly, if nothing else, sometimes just catching waves, like obviously now Talon is here to catch a wave, that's fine. But sometimes if you have nothing else to do on the map and you see a wave sitting there, like it's fine to use soak waves. Being strong on support is a real thing as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like getting XP, these kind of things, it's quite important. So sometimes, let's say Talon is not here to cover, just taking this wave can be fine if you don't feel like you don't need to be bot lane. If you think you need to be bot lane, that's fine as well. But like now you will get level 6 quite early, I imagine. Yeah, you're like halfway there already at minute 7, right? So you have ways to play the game like quite easy now, right? And you're probably gonna reach level 6 before them, and then you can take an all-in. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And these are the timers where I'm not sure if you're doing it. Hopefully you're doing it, but where like let's say you're close to hitting level 6, you hit level 6 now already, right? You will probably like try to ping your Talon to come bot lane at some point soon, and you can maybe take an all-in on this, you know what I mean? Because I don't think you actually win a 2v2 right now, because Jinx
because Renata W is very strong.
Yeah, exactly, and Corki is really strong as well, right? So
yeah.
So their bot lane is really strong right now in a 2v2. You're not.
I'm just making a fake pressure. I always do it with Rell.
Yeah, this is completely fine, right? And it's just like the one good thing, and probably the best thing about Rell right now, is that when enemy is not playing cleanse, you can just flash on them and they will die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because let's say you flash on the Corki, if he's not like, I don't know, Gumayusi, he's not gonna react to it, right? You will Jinx trap on top of that, and then they will be CC'd for 5 seconds, and if your jungler is there, they will just die, right?
Yeah.
So this is the reason why CC supports are so strong right now. There's no tenacity in the game, and almost every ADC in the meta, right? So you look at Jinx, Aphelios, Caitlyn, Jhin, etc., right? They all have some sort of follow-up CC, you know what I mean? So playing a CC support and being able to flash on your own enemy ADC is really strong, right?
And everyone is playing barrier, not cleanse.
Yeah, exactly, right? So if they don't take cleanse like they do here, in comp especially, you just want to fist fight around this bot lane, right? You see what I mean? Even if they're a bit stronger, like technically in the 2v2, you just have more CC, you will kill them. You see what I mean? Especially if your jungler can be there. Yeah, and this play, I don't like hate it in a sense, but something I'm like paying attention to is like the chat, and we're not like pinging the Talon that much. If we ping the Talon here, for example, that we just want assist on this play, then he can be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he ends up being here, but just a bit late, right? And we go a bit early in that sense. And you probably just think where we needed to.
My engage is very early.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like fine, right? Because, I mean, if I'm looking at it, you think you win the 2v2, right? That's why you engage. And then it's fine, right? If you think you have a winning play, you should take the winning play. And worst case, what's going to happen is that it's not a winning play, and then we learn from it, right? Because we understand now, okay, these are not the limits, right? And that's fine. So, like, that's completely alright in that sense, right? It's just being aware of the fact, okay, our Talon can help here, right? If we want him to help, right? And it's just we need to ping him a bit more because it's something I pay attention to a bit, right? Especially on like support and especially on like playmaking support, right? You want to make plays, you need people to make plays with. Sometimes just pinging a lot makes people at least consider the idea. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean they listen, but they had the idea in their head at least. Agreed?
Yes.
Right, and we want to take a reset here.
You have a question.
Go.
Some of my friends told me to not buy Zeke on Rell because her ulti will like already slow everyone. So they told me it's useless on Rell. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something. Honestly, once again, we can just look at this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like my take on it. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I have all the game knowledge in the game or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is just the truth. I have some game knowledge. I have a bit more than most people, right? But it's like, if we just look at win rates, okay, let's say what did you go first item? Warmogs or?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then it's like after that,
Then
like,
look at.
yeah, I mean, it's like we can look at like, to me, if Zeke's is completely useless, it probably does not have a 63% win rate as a second item. You know what I mean? Like, because it is higher than these two, right? And it doesn't mean like it's not a bit arbitrary, right? But like just the fact that they're kind of similar, because we can agree these two items they're not useless. Agreed?
Yes, they're not useless.
Yeah. So if this item was, then it probably would have a lot lower win rate. This is a bit awkward, of course, but all right, we take a reset, and once
I
again,
lost my flash. I'm not supposed to lose my flash on the kill.
Yeah,
my flash is very important.
Yes, the good thing, right, is that we do have X flash, but I agree, the flash is very important, right, because they can't dodge or engage if we do have flash.
Watch this.
What's about to happen?
They try to dive us.
Yeah, they fail, I guess. It's a bit disgusting, but I mean, we play it fine, right? Enemy plays it a bit disgusting.
I don't know why the Jinx didn't want to follow me. She seems very scary from Kazakhs.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but it is what it is, right?
I needed to stun Renata, otherwise her W will work on Corki and it will be bad.
Yeah, no, it's a good play. You played it good. Yeah, and I mean, in general, this game just seems a bit fistfighty. It's still the same feedback again, like as before. It's just every time we go out on the map, think about, okay, are we going mid lane or are we going bot lane or, I mean, even top lane in some situations, right? It looks like you consider it, right?
I think Jinx is my win condition. That's why I'm playing bot.
Yeah, I think you have two win conditions, right? Jinx is one of them and Talon is the other, right? Making plays with these two champions is what you want to do, right? And oftentimes, the more you can micromanage them, like, the better it can be in a sense, right? That's how you carry games as a support in a sense, right? By just making plays with the right people and trying to make sure they follow up on the plays you want to make. And sometimes, like, if the Jinx is fine on her own in certain scenarios, it can be fine to, like, look for something with the Talon if it's, like, mid lane or whatever. If mid lane is stable and you think that's fine, then it can be fine, right? And here we can kind of see it, right? Now, the one thing, and I mean, I'm sure you know it, but generally, we would want to look to take this prio first before we make this play, right?
Yeah, true.
Then they have to catch a mid lane wave. If they don't, then they just lose a mid lane wave, and that's fine. But now Jinx has to catch it, they make a play, and we just die, right? Or I assume we just die at least. We get a 1-for-1, it's not too bad, right? But it could be a lot worse in general.
My Orianna in this game is trolling a lot.
Yeah, I can see it, but it is what it is, right? We can only do the most with what we have. Try to play good.
After this game, I was very tilted.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I lost like 200 LP in one day.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I was very close to Challenger.
Yeah, no, I can understand the frustration. I mean, as I said, the main thing, like, is trying to just remain focused on your performance, right? I'm not saying your performance is 100% impact, right? In that sense, like, obviously it's not. We try to follow a rule, which is like the 30-40-30 rule. I'm not sure if you heard of it. But it's like 30% of the games you play will just be won automatically, 30% will just be lost automatically, and the other 40% you actually have an impact on, right? So sometimes you're just gonna queue up and you're just gonna lose. It's unlucky, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't have anything to do about it. But what's important is that you don't focus too much on those games that are already lost, right? And instead you try to focus on the games that you have an impact on, right?
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then that's really good. Sometimes it's hard, right? We're gonna tilt over the fact that we lose games without having an impact, right? If you feel like you are tilting, I recommend sometimes just going on another account or something like this, right? Because the following games can be hard to focus on then, right? Even if we have ways to win them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
And sometimes also, I'm sure you don't do it because honestly, no players in solo queue do. But just taking breaks off the games is really important as well, right? Like, just let's
I
say
never
you.
take breaks.
No, exactly. No one does, right?
Yeah.
But it is important, right? So, for example, if it's just like you play this game, you feel a bit tilted afterwards, just take a 5-minute break, maybe drink some water, whatever. Just do anything that is not thinking about this game. You know what I mean? Just mental refresh. You go do something else. Maybe, I don't know if you're living alone or whatever, but like maybe speak with someone, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah, I think the best solution is to go to gym.
Yeah, I mean, you
Then-
can do that as well if you want to take a
yeah.
bit longer break, right? Like, and that's can be completely fine. It doesn't have to be a super long break, but just mental refresh for a bit. If you feel like you need a longer break to refresh, that's completely fine, right?
Yeah.
Just do something in between, right? And if it's just, okay, the game is over, let's not think about it, let's go drink some water, maybe call someone and you speak with someone for a bit so I don't think about the game, that can be completely fine. Maybe watch a YouTube video, something like that, you know what I mean?
I don't know what should I do. I think they're like we have 4 kills and they are stronger than us. Should I engage? Should I not? Should I roam?
Yeah. I mean, it's still the same thing, right? Your win conditions are this Jinx and this Talon. You want to make sure you make plays with them, right?
Yeah,
no.
but we are losing 2v2
Yes.
somehow.
Yeah, and that is just because of champion strength. Unlucky. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Now, if you feel like you cannot win through bot lane, let's say, then first question you have to ask yourself, if I leave bot lane, will my ADC die, right? Like, realistically, right? If he dies, that's another story, right? You know, if you think he shouldn't die. But, like, do you think, like, he cannot lane if you leave him?
I think he cannot lane.
Okay. Then, that's a bit of an issue, right? Because then, it means that we're gonna need to get relief on bot lane, right? Because the general idea is that, let's say, he can lane without you, just for the sake of it. Maybe he could lane without you earlier, maybe he couldn't at all, whatever. Then you could make a play on mid lane, maybe with the Talon, you can overload here, you can make a good play, right, and then you could go bot lane, for example, with this pressure. Make sense?
Yeah.
With this pressure, you can make sure you get prio bot lane. With this pressure, you can make sure you get prio mid lane. It goes back and forth, right?
Yes.
And if you feel like this is not possible, you cannot just leave to make a play on mid lane. Well, one thing is maybe like, if you manage to get a crash on bot lane, you would open mid lane one time, even if like Orianna does not like need you to help her lane or whatever. Maybe just making sure that Orianna gets prio so that she can cover into bot lane can be good, right? This is hard to do in solo queue, but especially in comp. Make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Because then enemy bot lane cannot play aggressive, right? Then they have to play like a bit more defensively. Exactly. You can get vision around mid lane. When you get vision around mid lane, it's easier for her to keep getting the prio. It's easier for her to just rotate into bot lane. Exactly. And if you cannot do this, right, then you would just, instead of opening up in mid lane, maybe you would open up in bot lane, right?
I have a question. What do you think about Rell matchup against Nautilus?
Rell versus Nautilus. It's
Yeah.
hard to say. I mean, the champions do similar things, right? I think in general, Rell is a bit better at like fist fighting. I think she just has like more CC if Nautilus hooks in that sense.
So front to back, when I play Rell, I need to play it from to back against Nautilus.
Well, that just depends. Do you mean in the 2v2? Or?
Yeah, 2v2.
In the 2v2, often probably, but it depends on your ADC, right, as well. If you have a fucking Samira, I don't want you to play front to back. You know what I mean? Like, you can play front to back, that's completely fine, right? If you leave your ADC, oftentimes the Nautilus is just gonna ult the ADC and then they're gonna dive on him and then it's gonna be a bit fucked, right?
Most of my games, like right now, like engage champ against melee champ against melee champ, I think front to back is the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, often it is, I agree.
Alistar, like Rell, Leona, all of them, like against melee champs only.
Mm-hmm. Now, one big thing like that I think is important to think about in the front to back, right? Because if you're gonna play front to back, right, like oftentimes enemies gonna thinking, okay, I want to play front to back as well. But realistically, like not both teams are gonna win when you both play front to back, right? Like one team is still gonna win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
The number one thing to think about is like how you kite, right? If you try to run in towards them, right, even if you think you're winning the front to back, oftentimes your ADC is not gonna be able to hit, right? When you're running forward, your ADC has to run forward. Their ADC can kite backwards while hitting, right? So you play a minigame, right, where you don't want to like click backwards and then they just get out, right? That's obviously not what you want to do. But you want to like CC them and then maybe take a step backwards, your ADC can hit, and then you can kite forwards together. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you want to like always bait, like let's say you're playing Rell and this is a Nautilus for the sake of it, right? If Nautilus is hitting you melee, you want to bait him into walking into you and walking into your ADC, because that's going to allow you to generally just chase him down further, right? And your ADC to hit more than enemy ADC. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you always want to play this mini game of where you're not going too deep, but you're like still making sure your ADC can hit and baiting both the enemy AD carry to walk forward and the enemy support. Make sense?
Makes sense.
And it's not easy to do, but it's generally how you kite on conflicts.
As Rell, like I'm spamming Rell lately, and mostly I'm playing it front to back.
Right. And
like CC the enemy melee and let my AD carry hit.
Right. Yeah, that's good. And then it's like you see him maybe with your Q, the AD carry hits a bit, maybe you take a step back, maybe the Nautilus like then hooks into you and the enemy ADC steps forward, then you could go in with like W ult, something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, in the past when I was playing Rell, I was like always getting too deep and
right.
I was losing, yeah.
I think a lot of like Rell is a champion that has to commit like to engage, right, in a sense. Or like if he wants to do like a hard engage, right, he usually has to commit, right? And it's like Leona is like this as well, for example. If you look at like other roles, like I mean Rek'Sai is like this, for example, as well, right, in jungle. This is a good example of right where we're committing quite hard for and like engage, and this makes sense, right, because your ADC is mispositioning, right, otherwise. But it's like in general, just being aware of the fact that when you actually do take this like committal engage, that you have to stay in the fight, right? There's no going out afterwards, right? So often you just want to play one ability rotation, maybe kite it out a bit, and then when you feel like, okay, let's say the Alistar game like that we just looked at, right? If you can get like one good WQ, that you just take a step back while they're CC, let your ADC hit, and then next time if you feel like they're low enough now to all in, then you do it, you know what I mean? But you have to know that it's in your limit, right? Then you can 100 to 0 them.
Yeah, there we didn't see the Kazakhs, that's why I flashed.
Yeah, I don't mind the play. I mean, it's clearly what we're like looking to do, right? And you're just following up on what the play is supposed to be, and this is once again quite fine. And it's like, of course, important to think about these things. Like, for example, okay, where could the enemy jungler be, right? These are not super easy things to think about, especially in like Fiesta games in solo queue, right?
True.
But like, especially if you're playing comp, asking like, okay, could enemy jungler be here? Something like that, you know? Whenever
like
you go for play.
when I'm playing like comp, should I fight only when I had my jungle in my side? Like if my jungle is top side, should I not fight?
No, I mean, it depends. Like, it's an possible question to ask, right? Because let's say your jungler is top side, but if enemy jungler is also top side and you know you win the 2v2, I mean, it can be completely fine to go for. You know what I mean? But you just have hands, right? You just have to be aware of the fact that if you are fighting in bot lane and your jungler is top side, you're not going to be able to get a bailout.
Yeah, because like many people told me that you need never to fight 2v2, you need to play like only when jungle is with you.
No, I mean, that's just not true, right? Because, I mean, like, it can be completely fine. You just have to do it to a certain extent. Like, you have to be aware of the fact that, okay, I'm not playing, like, on the strong side right now, right? In a sense. And if you're just aware of that, like, it's fine. If you know enemy is playing on a strong side and you're playing on a weak side, let's say with your jungler bot side and enemy jungler, like, or better, your jungler is top side and enemy jungler is bot side, right? Then, yeah, it makes more sense that, okay, let's not go for a trade, right? Because especially if you face good opponents, right, all that will happen is that you will take a trade, you will not have control over the wave, you will get dove, and then you will go FF. Right? Then it makes more sense, right? But if you know it's a 2v2, for example, it's completely fine, right?
Sure. But what do you think about Blitzpeak in competitive?
Blitzcrank?
Yeah, Blitzcrank.
Right now, I don't think it's too strong. Like, he just doesn't seem that great into, like, the meta support, emo. Like, there you go.
Can I pick it, like, when... Example, when I play, like, against Lulu, maybe or something like that?
I mean, you can pick it into frontline, like, or engage supports if you want to as well. Like you know, but, like, it's not as good, but, like, you know, if you feel comfort, for example, on the champion, right, and you feel like you have a good matchup and a way to win the matchup, like, you know, that's completely fine.
I honestly just started playing Blitz like for a couple 2 months. I played against Enchanters and I did well, but I don't have experience against engaged champs.
Right, and then it's completely fine to not pick into engage, right, in that sense. If you think, okay, enemy goes Enchanter and you want to play Blitzcrank into it, like, that's fine. The one thing you have to be aware of is that Blitzcrank is not like an engage champion, right? He's a fishing champion, right? Like, if you come into mid-late game, and you're playing Blitzcrank and you don't have like an engaged jungler or top laner, you're probably not gonna have an actual engage, and you're kind of preying on this Blitzcrank hooking, hitting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a coin flip.
Yeah, so that's the only thing to be aware of. Maybe if you're playing Blitzcrank, you want like an engaged top laner or an engaged jungler, right? Or something like at least that can start fights. You know what I mean? A bit more reliably than just the Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I would say to be aware of. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, it's a fine champion. Like you can play it if you're comfort on it, and especially if you think you have a good matchup on it, right? Like that's the most important thing. If you think like your champion is good in the game that you're about to play, then that's the most important thing. It's not about what other people consider to be the meta, right? Because the truth is, like, if you look at pro play, let's say LSE, right? You're probably not always gonna understand why a champion is being picked or why a champion is meta in LSE. You know what I mean?
True.
I don't understand always either, right? You just understand the fact that the pros have, for some reason, came to like they have come to this conclusion after playing like 1 week of like best of 7 scrims. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like if they played that much more than me, and they come to this conclusion, they probably did so for a certain reason. But why that reason is, I don't know. And if I don't know what that reason is, then it's kind of hard to actually use the champion in the way that it's supposed to be used. You know what I mean?
By the way, coach, you saw G2, I think last week they played Tariq Varis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tariq was picked in LEC.
Yeah.
From long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the champion is bad at all. I think it's a good champion. Like in the right spot, it's really OP. The thing why you don't see these champions like Tariq, for example, very often, is because people don't know always when they're good, or like they think it's a good champion. Let's say Tariq right now. They know it's good in certain spots, but since it's only good in those certain spots, they are not willing to practice it because it's too, like, not common enough, in a sense. Right? So if you're, like, let's say you're playing in LSE, right? Maybe one out of your, like, LSE games, the entire split is going to be a Tariq game. Like, in a perfect spot, right? You know what I mean? Where it's actually better than any other. Right? You can be comforted on any champion if you're playing in the LSE, right? Most likely. Because you're playing the game so much. Right. So if you're going to commit to practicing a champion, then you're going to have to make sure that you're going to pick it enough to the point where it's actually worth practicing. Sometimes you can practice some cheese picks, right? Sometimes you can practice some off-meta picks, right? G2 does this a lot, right? Because they're very comfort playing as a team already. They don't need to practice like the meta champions often. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hate meta too.
Yeah, that's a good thing. No, but it's like in general, like every champion in the game usually has a spot, right, where it can be played.
Every champion in the game is okay.
Right, in the right spot. But it's like finding that right spot is usually, like, it can be hard sometimes for certain champions, and that's why, like, it's not like picked in LSC or LCK or LPL, right? Because when they are good, they, like, teams just haven't practiced it, right? And then they'd rather just pick something they have practiced, right? And they don't want to practice this champion, right? Because it's most likely not going to be picked anyways.
Question, coach. When do you think should I like play Rumble support in what matchups?
In Rumble support? Yes.
Yeah, Rumble support, yeah.
I mean, in general, Rumble is quite good into champions that have to commit into, right? Like, he's quite decent into all of these, like, meta supports right now. Like, the only thing, the reason why we don't see him, like, as much as we did, like, last split is because there's so much follow-up CC, like I mentioned, right? So, like, it's easy to, like, just get killed by CC on Rumble. That's, like, one thing, right? But if you face, like, a champion, like, let's say Nautilus, something like that, that has hook into you, and you know you're not going to get one-tapped off his hook, then he can be quite good, right? Because the only thing you have to do then is manage to hit correctly, right? You manage to hit correctly, you're going to be able to one-tap him if he hooks in ever, and you can just play with full prio. And he's quite strong as well for the reason that, like, even if he doesn't hook in the Nautilus, like, you can just poke with your E, right? That's, like, the general reason why Rumble is strong. You just have so much lane pressure, right? And so much damage in lane.
Yeah, and it can roam a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Good roaming. And I think it's good with Ashe AD carry, maybe.
Yeah, it's very good with, like, Ashe, for example, right? Or anything that has set up for him. Jhin can be fine as well, I think. These kind of champions.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like the champion is strong for sure. And it's like, just make sure that you don't get one-tapped, like, off a combo. And that you actually have, like, something you can fight with in bot lane. And then Rumble can be really strong, right? Because there's not a lot of, like, specific matchups that just counter him, right? In that sense.
From this time in the game, my mouse... boom.
Yeah. Do you want to keep looking or no then?
I think no. Because I wanted to engage, but I couldn't. Like, my mouse was very terrible. I don't know why it changed.
Right. No, that's fine. Sometimes technical issues happen. Like, shit happens. That's fine. Alright.
But this game, I thought that I played it very good and I lost. That wasn't like.
Yeah, sometimes games go like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes games just go like that. I think you played it fine. Like what I will say. I think your jinx kind of grift timers, right? And I think sometimes you didn't understand your limits, right? Like we saw. I think it was generally fine. But it's just some things to think about, right? Okay, for example, how we open up on the map, right? And mainly for me, what I saw is just pinging people, right? And what you want them to do. Right? Because I think a lot of times you have like good ideas on what you want to do, but you're not always getting follow up on it, right? And you're not always like pinging people on what you actually want to do, right? So it's like also hard to follow up on it. Make sense?
Yeah, I need to ping. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's important to engage champs.
Right, it's just important to like not even like on engage champions, but just communicate what you want to do, right? Because I mean you're a playmaker this game, right? Especially on engage champions, you're gonna be playmakers, but you can be on enchanters as well, right? If you wanna look on a lot of roams, right? Just pinging where you wanna roam, these kind of things can be very important, right? Agreed?
Yeah.
Alright. Any other questions you have on this game otherwise, or in general?
No. For now, I have nothing in my mind.
Oh, alright. Sounds good then, man. Hope this was helpful to you.
Yeah, thank you, coach, like for free coaching.
Yeah, no worries, man, no worries. And if you ever... Yeah, go.
This helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome too. If you ever have any questions, just ask, you know.
No, I don't have any questions. I hope I can make my first win in Arabian League.
Bro, I'm cheering for you, man, okay? I probably won't be watching, but I'll be cheering for you, okay?
Okay, man, thank you.
Alright.
See you, man.
Alright, I'll see you, man. Alright, not bad. We take those.